morning. You're listening to Central Wisconsin's 24-hour information station, AM 1320 WFHR. It's time now for the Morning Magazine, brought to you by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing. Now, with the Morning Magazine, here's Carl Hilke.
Thank you, Jerry, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Morning Magazine here on AM 1320 and streaming live at WFHR.com. We also welcome our buddy Jesse from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, who's recording us in high definition for viewing on their fine website and on your local public access channel. Again, today we are in the production studio because we're pre-recording this segment, but so now you get to see another part of the radio station. But the reason why Wisconsin Rapids Community Media is here, it's our monthly visit with the Wood County Board Chairman, Doug Machon. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Hi, Jesse.
I am doing good. Well, a lot to talk about. And including the fact that the river is rising and everything else. But you and I have talked about ATV trails. Mm-hmm. And this is something Wood County wants to get more into. I know counties around us have been doing so.
Yep.
So, and you have some news about that for us today.
Well, we, as people have known, probably that have followed it, we dedicated ourselves to doing some more additional trail development for ATVs in the county, and also opening up some county roads so that we can make connections between our off-road trails throughout the county, make it a contiguous trail throughout the county, and then connect with the counties to the west of us and hopefully to the south of us. So we've got a lot of things going on there. We look at it as a big piece in our economic development here in the county, and we did some grant writing to contribute to those efforts as far as the county is concerned. We wrote about 5 grants to the state for ATV funds, some for trail maintenance, some for new trail development. A rather large one in particular was for over $400,000 for a stretch of new trails that we wanted to develop out in the western side of the county.
Wow. So this for folks who are into that sport, this is really good news.
Yeah, we're going to make it nice for them. Well, we're going to try to make it nice for them and make the right connections. Where
will most of these trails, for folks that don't know where these trails are located, could you give them a little description so they can kind of figure out where they're going to be?
Well, we have a central location, an intensive ATV unit, which is out on Highway 54, just to the west of Port Edwards, where it's actually kind of like an ATV park where there's a trailhead there, as well as a parking lot where you can unload and do a series of trails on county land right there in that intensive area. But then we also have trails that leave that area. There's other places where you can unload your ATVs, UTVs, and get onto trails. We've talked before about our development that's going to take place at Dexter Park,
right,
where we're going to dedicate sites there specifically for ATV users. But the trails, the grant that we wrote, in particular the big grant, is for development of some new trails out in the Hay Creek area, which is the farther western part of the state. And those are the impetus there is to connect with Jackson County, who has a pretty extensive trails ATV system, and we want to be able to put people in Wood County into Jackson County if that's the way they want to go, and vice versa. We want to bring people from Jackson if they want to extend their trips and come and stay at our campgrounds. Great, come across the county line, and we'll have trails here developed and for your use.
It sounds like a win-win for both counties then.
Absolutely, I think so. And then I think the long-range plan too is to get down into Adams County.
Okay.
Because they have some, around the Rome area, they have developed trails, and of course you've got Derricuse, which is a motorcycle ATV UTV parks, and so we're probably playing a little bit of catch up here in Wood County. As far as this goes, but
is that because we all kept waiting for the snow?
No, I think it was
because a lot of there's a reason why I say that, Doug. A lot of these trails were developed in a lot of counties because they realized that they weren't getting the kind of snowfalls that they used to have, and they needed to find a different way to get some income and get some. And people were getting rid of their snowmobiles and buying ATVs and UTVs, and so they said, okay, well, let's develop a trail system for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, and I think it's a valid point as well. There is. obviously you're well aware that in Wood County we don't have an extended snowmobile season most years. This year was probably a good year, and I mean it's not like it is in Eagle River or in the UP where
Right.
You're basically on your sled from maybe possibly the 1st of December until maybe the middle of April on some years. That's a pretty extended. Their tourism, when you go to the UP, their tourism season is actually in the wintertime on the snowmobile business. We don't have that luxury down here, but we do have lots of natural resources that we can build on, and ATV seems like a pretty good fit.
Now, the other thing we do have is some really nice campgrounds.
Yep.
In our area, and we're getting into the campgrounds, the camping season. What's it looking like for this year?
Well, hopefully it'll be good. We're going to open up our parks on May 1st, of course, and if you want to make reservations, we'll be accepting reservations right away on the camp openers. And if you want to camp, get a reservation from the 1st of May till the 23rd. You'll have to call the office. You won't be able to do that online initially. For those first 3 weeks, you'll have to call if you want a reservation, and you can do that just by calling the office.
Okay.
And another thing too, I wanted to mention, as long as we're on parks, is that the rifle range is closed until further notice at this time because of flooding.
Okay.
And
So
that area, as you well know, is very low and susceptible.
And yeah, it's kind of a marshy type of. So if you once the so now's the time to get signed up for your camping spots. And now the Wood County Board approved some seasonal adjustments to the rates. Did they not? Or
they have some special. Time frames where there's special rates involved, special packages, and I'm not sure exactly what they did. There's a number of them. I know that we set up some things, and I'm not exactly sure of the specifics. It's been a while, but I know Director Schooley and his group had set up some rates around the water ski show where if you wanted to have a reservation to camp there, you had to reserve like the week.
Okay.
Which isn't probably problematic for a lot of those skiers because they're there for an extended stay anyway. So if you wanted to reserve a campsite, you couldn't do it for 2 days anymore at the show. There's some early seasons. I think there's some early and late season specials where you can. And I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think if you get one, you might get a free night in there if you take a certain number of nights.
But contact the parks.
Exactly, and on the website too.
And on the website.
Stuff's available on the website.
Where do I would imagine we draw? I know there's a lot of local folks that just love going, say, out to Lake Wazeecha. It's a quick drive. They can take their camper. They're good. They're good to go. But we also draw from all over. I would imagine we're a popular drive for folks from the south.
Oh yeah,
because it's a quick drive.
Yeah, we're also a popular site for the people from the east.
Oh, really?
From the eastern parts of the state. I think I mentioned before I like to ride my bike through the campground with my wife. We do that loop around Lake Wazeecha, which is fantastic. One of the amenities out there that's really a draw, I think. But and I like to talk to campers. Find out what brings them to Wood County, what makes them come to Lake Wazeecha. What do they like about the campground? What do they not like about the campground? And I'm surprised at the number of people that aren't from Wood County that do camp there. Well, why do you come here? Well, our family does this every year. We've always done this for the last 10, 15 years, and so it's known for its being a good place to camp.
Yeah.
A lot of amenities.
Yeah, and it's a nice, quiet area.
Beautiful.
It's kind of perfect to get away.
It's a pretty lake, and I think the walking path bike trail, that might be one of the best ideas that there's ever been. That is well utilized as well as all of our bike trails throughout the city. And now that we've extended up to Buren, and we have the possibility with the Bridgewater development to go farther, you're talking about if you have a trailhead somewhere in north of Buren where you can unload your bike. And ride your bike to Nakusa, you're talking probably about a 20-mile plus ride. I know my wife and we put them on the back of the car and ride trails like that, go to places specifically to ride trails. And when we do that, we normally stop on the way back for supper somewhere or to have a beer maybe. And people will travel for that. That's a doable distance.
Famous trail near here, Elroy Sparta.
Yep.
People make a point of traveling to one of the trailhead ends there to drop to park and get on the trail and enjoy the trail. I mean, it's a huge tourist attraction in that area.
And that's a beautiful bike ride. I've done it many times, my wife and I both. And if you're riding along the Wisconsin River, and I mean on a fall day or a nice summer day, and there's a lot of people on those trails. Those trails get used. And the one thing I think that we probably don't do well when it comes to that trail is we don't market it the way we should probably. And maybe that's one of the things we need to change, because that's definitely a destination type.
Well, here in the city, there's a leadership class has been looking at trail markings along the walking trails, so that people know, oh, you're here, or if you're renting one of the bike from the bike share, you're here, you can go over here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Make it user friendly.
Yep, absolutely. And again, the thing I like about it is when I ride a bike, I'm an old guy, but when I ride a bike, I don't necessarily like trails that take me on the road. Because I don't feel that maybe they're as safe as they, if you got somebody texting you riding your bike, you're kind of fair game.
Yeah. I hear you.
And so I prefer to ride. If I can go through a little section of woods or along a riverbank and I'm off the road, I feel more comfortable. I'm more leisurely. I'll take my time to look around while I'm riding my bike and not have to worry about my future existence because I'm on a roadway. And so I think that's one of the benefits of those trails. And
yeah, it sounds.
The vistas are great.
Yeah. Now, another thing that's popular this time of year and into the summer is road construction season. Wood County bit the bullet. They did the borrowing to upgrade a lot of their roads over the past few years. And from what you've told me in the past, we're pretty well caught up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I would say we are. This should be the final year where we have any remedial type projects. I think Roland, our highway commissioner, I think he had 4 bridges scheduled this year to replace. Things may change there because, of course, now the last snowstorm we had didn't help us any, and we were kind of in the red on the snow removal budget from the disastrous winter we had to begin with. So the last storm probably didn't help us. So the highway commissioner may be looking at rearranging some projects to make his budget work for the rest of the year. And he's got some time to do that if we haven't gotten into the details, and that's between himself. He'll work that out with his committee and his committee chair, Adam Fisher. So they'll figure that out. But we're as far as overall road work, the roads I think I'd be safe to say they're in pretty good shape. The question now will be to keep them in that, so we don't slide backwards and get into that position again where we have to do remedial work.
Well, you mentioned the winter. How did that do with our forest land and the like in the county?
I haven't heard anything. I talk to Fritz Schubert on a regular basis because Fritz actually is one of the guys that wrote one of the ATV grants, and he's aware of some stuff. He'll have some news coming out. He'll have more for you probably through the Parks Director in the near future as far as any new developments in the county's forest land, but there hasn't been anything extraordinary.
Okay. So we didn't have because I know, like by the town of Rome, they had a bunch of tree damage down there.
I'm sure we had some tree damage. How significant it is, I haven't heard that it's problematic.
As the debate continues in Madison on the state budget, I was just talked to Mayor Verwink last week and got he thought this is the most city-friendly budget in like 8 years in terms of.
I think it's a good budget for us as well too.
Okay.
Again, we talked about this before. It depends on what gets through. I mean, you can propose a lot of stuff. It's still got to go through both houses of the legislature, which have already balked at a lot of the items in that budget. So where they can find compromise, I think there are some items. I think we talked about it last time. In the human services area, there's some areas where I think that the legislators probably would even give more than the governor has designated. But it's going to be a long process this year. I'm sure of it. It'll be interesting to watch. But it certainly would be. It would be good for us as well.
What are your concerns if it becomes an overly long process?
Well, I mean, the fact is you want to get your money as soon as you can. You at least want to know what you're going to have coming so that you can do your own budgets,
right?
And do them accurately. At least have an idea. I mean, if the budget went through, or do I have a feel that it's going to be a good budget? Yes, I do, but I can't put a dollars and cents number to that right now. I know it's a good feeling. Well, how much are we going to get? I don't know, but I think it'll be better than the last one, but hopefully. But
and then, of course, one of the big debates is going to be on transportation funding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What would you like to see? Do you have any preference?
I don't, because I can't speak for the state, but I'll tell you what, anything that we've been fortunate in Wood County. We've been one of the counties that hasn't put a wheel tax on. Some people had to do, I don't know if you want to call it knee jerks, but some people went early on the wheel tax thing. We, as a county board, as a county government, kind of fought that idea and that philosophy. And I think that it turns out now that we probably did the right thing, because, as you well know, you put in place those types of taxes, and it's hard to get rid of them. You don't seldom go back. I mean, we haven't regressed and said, hey, we don't want that 0.5% sales tax in the county anymore. We don't need it. No, it's probably going to be there for our lifetimes and beyond. And so I think the same thing is with the wheel tax. There's counties, you look at Marathon County, I believe Lincoln County did one just within the last year and a half. And it's pretty hard to back away from those things once you got the money coming into the pot. I mean, that's the one thing about governments, is they usually can find a way to spend it if they got it. So.
One of the issues that's been in the news is courthouse security.
Yep, big one.
And so how's that going to be handled?
Well, I can tell you that on Tuesday we passed a resolution that's going to initiate the courthouse security this year, which wasn't in the budget, but it will be implemented this year. We had put in place in the budget the money to put in place the infrastructure, the metal scanners and the offices for the security officers, and but we were going to plan on putting those manning monies into the budget next year. We had a resolution come forward to start that early, and so I would look for that to be in place, possibly as early as the 1st of July, if everything went perfectly. I would think it depends on how quickly they can hire the people they need for those positions, how quickly the infrastructure work gets accomplished, the testing on that equipment goes and things like that. But I would say sometime on or shortly after the 1st of July, you'll probably see something there.
How will that affect the basic person doing business in the courthouse?
Well, you better not have a gun on you. But I would say, it's going to. I'll give you a good example. Yesterday, I was at the Brewers game. It's been a while since I've been at the Brewers game. In fact, it's been long enough that they had you walk through the metal detectors,
right,
like you do at some of the courthouses around the state, and I'm a guy that always carries a pocket knife on me. I happen to have a very expensive, handmade pocket knife that I bought myself when my wife and I were in the UP on a anniversary redo of our honeymoon trip, and I wasn't about to give that. If it would have been my normal pocket knife that I carry for every day, I would have said, take it. But I'm up there in line, and there's people all over the place, and I forgot about the metal detector, so I'm not going to give up this knife. So my wife has the tickets scanned for the 4 of us on her phone and on her phone app, and she has to explain to the guy, I'm going to run back to the car and take my knife back, and they were very understanding. But that kind of stuff will happen in the courthouse. I in fact, for myself, I won't be able to carry my pocket knife in the courthouse anymore, which is, I feel naked without my pocket knife.
So basically, you'll be going through a metal detector when you
will.
enter.
Absolutely.
So
it's an interesting point, because I had open heart surgery, and they tell me that they put me back together with stainless wiring when they put my brain.
I know there's sometimes some people who've had heart surgery who have set off different alarms.
They didn't do it at County Stadium, so
Miller Park.
Miller Park County Stadium. I'm dating myself, huh?
Same here.
County Stadium. No, but it didn't do it. But I did. My nitro pills, they said, would have set it off, and I gave them those. So, But those little things will. And I think the bigger change will come for the employees.
Okay.
Because the employees are going to all have to come through one entrance now. Okay. It's not going to be any side door stuff. It's going to be, you're going to come through the front door and be screened just like everyone else.
And you're going to probably have to have your badge and ID badge and everything.
It's going to be. It'll probably be more problematic for employees, and it will take a change for them to get used to more than the general public.
Okay. But you say hopefully the system is in place and everybody's starting to get used to it by July.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no doubt that we had it, that we had to do it. We wanted to do it. You're looking back, did we do it properly as far as logistically putting up all the pieces? I don't know. You can make arguments on both sides, but the fact is the courthouse will be secure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's like you said, around the state, but it's the head of Wood County government, so it needs to be.
It's sad to say that that's the place we're at as a society, but yeah, indeed, it's true.
Okay. Anything else that I've brought up a whole bunch of things, but I'm sure there's something that you wanted to talk about.
I think we talked about emergency government. We're working hard on economic development in the county. It's one of the initiatives that I wanted to take as far as changing the way we do economic development, because a lot of people tend to think of economic development as marketing.
Right.
You know what, Carl? You have to have something to market. So, if we're going to do economic development and talk about real economic development, then we have to develop something to market. And if that means that we reinvent ourselves, then perhaps that's where we need to stick the money, is that we need to do things that are going to change how we do things. What is our business here, and what does economic success look like in Wood County? We redefine ourselves. We're not going to be a paper mill town anymore. We can't be. That's been changed. That's beyond our control. So what are we now? What is Wood County? Marshfield's fairly well defined. Wisconsin Rapids, I don't know. I think we're still in kind of a nebulous state here, where we haven't come to grips with what we want to be or what we do. But I always say this to a lot of people and anyone who will listen, is we've been blessed in this county with a lot of great natural resources. And I think it's a shame to not use those for what they're worth. And if that's what we transition to, that's what we see for the future, I think there's a lot of truth to it. If you build it, they will come. I mean, people are looking for places to live, not necessarily where their job is, but where they want to live. And they'll worry about their jobs when they get here. So many people work from home.
That's something the mayor has brought up here. And that's why a lot of the different amenities that are being built and addressed. I mean, the East Grand Avenue project is going to have a totally different look.
Yeah, and that blends right in with the whole riverfront development.
Right.
Those are things that I think that we can't turn back on now. Those are good ideas. I think the mayor's dead on those ideas. I think that's what has to be done. Marshfield's a different cat.
It's a medical town for one.
And they have a different approach, and it's a successful approach, first of all. But what we can do there, that's what Powers Bluff is going to do. That's kind of a good county piece for Marshfield is Powers Bluff. Powers Bluff is closer to Marshfield than it is to Wisconsin Rapids, and Marshfield wants some of those natural resource, outdoor type things for quality of life. Powers Bluff is a perfect example. So then if you frame it as economic development and you put money into the Powers Bluff project, I think you can state it as an economic development piece. If you're going to develop that area specifically for a quality of life initiative, whether it be biking, whether it be winter outdoor activities, tubing, skiing, whatever, that is a quality of life piece, and it relates directly to the north end of the county. And then there's going to be there's the possibility of spending a lot of money. There's going to be a great facility.
And here we got the riverfront.
And we have the ATV Trails, which are county-wide. Nice. There's a lot of things that can be developed in the county. It's going to take you're going to have to spend some money. It's going to take some capital spending to develop those things. Will there be a payoff in the end? I believe there will be. I look on the positive side of that.
I would imagine it will also involve partnerships between the county and local officials. And
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope so. That would make the most sense. And Ken Curry, the chairman of the SEED committee, and his committee has taken on that task of rethinking economic development in the county. I really like where they're going. I really like what they've accomplished so far. Nothing's easy. You're going to rankle some people. You're going to upset some people because some people live in the status quo, and that's what they want to stay in. That doesn't necessarily make it the right decision going forward. And so Mr. Curry and his group is taking a proactive approach, and they're thinking out of the box, and they're going to be very open-minded.
Okay. Well, as always, we're out of time. I appreciate the updates on everything, and I guess we'll do it again next month.
You bet.
And hopefully by then we'll have some beautiful, warm, maybe more summer-like weather, and we'll be talking about campgrounds full, trails being used, et cetera, et cetera.
Golf courses.
Golf course, yes. Knock on wood.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a few rounds of golf in by then.
I would hope so. Okay. Well, you take care. We'll talk again next month.
My pleasure, as always.
Wood County Board Chairman Doug Machon wrapping up this portion of the Morning Magazine on AM 1320 and streaming live at WFHR.com. We also thank our buddy Jesse from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media for being here, and you can view the video of this discussion on their fine website or on your local public access channel.